Hi, my name is Billie Tarascio. I'm an Arizona family law attorney, and I have been tagged in this numerous times asking me to weigh in on it. Let's see what else mom has to say.
I have been my son's primary caregiver since birth, and any of you who have ever applied for a move away request know that the stability is the stability of the relationship with a primary parent, not the stability of location.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute because I think this is a common misconception. And with this particular mom, she is married now to a Marine. She is a stay-at-home mom. And we don't know what state this mom is in or how old her child is, but we do know that she has been the primary caretaker for her son. Then she got married to a Marine. This Marine has now been stationed. She is moving away with him and has applied to relocate. Let's see what else the video says.
We just got a judge who was new to family law, had only been a judge for 2 years, and never spent any time in family law.
Okay, so she said anybody who's been in family law knows that stability is the stability of the relationship, not the stability of the location. So that's not true in Arizona. And so this person said, the judge is new to family law and the judge got it wrong. It could be that in her state, the statute does say that the stability is measured by relationships and not location. In Arizona, we have a specific relocation statute. All the regular best interest factors apply. So in our state, there's 13 best interest factors, which certainly looks at relationships between both parents, future relationships between both parents, past relationships between parents, the child's adjustment to school and community. So if we were litigating this type of case and you were mom's attorney, you'd want to downplay the relationship between the child and her father or his father and the child and all of their extended family and cousins, if that may be the case. But then there are additional relocation factors that have to be considered. And that in Arizona is 25408. And those additional factors are whether the relocation is being made or opposed in good faith, and not to interfere with or frustrate the relationship between the child and the other parent or the other parent's right of access to the child. So if you move away in order to get somebody out of your life, that is a negative under Arizona's relocation statute. The next thing is uh, whether the prospective advantage of the move for improving the general quality of life for the custodial parent or the child. So how likely is it that the quality of life is going to get much better? So sometimes people move away because, like, we had one relocation case where dad and his wife had inherited a piece of property in Seattle, and it was fully paid off, and they were going to get to move to Seattle and have a completely paid off house. And the stepmom had gotten into a school, and under that particular case, we were able to secure a relocation. The next factor is the likelihood that the parent with whom the child will reside after relocation will comply with parenting time orders. So if there is a history of non-compliance or interference with parenting time, that's going to really weigh against a relocation. Potential effect on the child's stability, whether the relocation will allow realistic opportunity for parenting time with each parent, the extent to which moving or not moving will affect the emotional, physical, developmental needs of the child, the motives of the parents, and the validity of the reasons. That's a big one. It just keeps coming up again and again and again. All right, so that's the statute. Let's go back to her video.
As an attorney, and today is day 9 of not talking to my son because dad won't let us talk to each other, even though it's in the court order.
Okay, so if it is in the court order that mom is supposed to be able to talk to the child and dad is preventing mom talking to the child, that is the type of thing that would weigh against dad having custody. One of the factors, as you heard, is who's going to be more likely to facilitate parenting time between each child, because things happen and parents have to move. Parents have to move. Now, people in the military have special protections, but spouses of people in the military don't have special protections. But in this case, if dad has a history of violating the court order and prohibiting contact, that's really going to weigh in mom's favor on a relocation case. So as an attorney, I'd really want to hammer that it's very unlikely that dad is going to comply with the parenting time orders. And look, here, he's already done it.
And since he's had custody of him for the last 9 days, he has not spent more than an hour with him a day, and the rest of the time he's been with other family members or friends, and while I'm a stay-at-home mom. And I am trying like hell to figure things out with my attorney, but
okay, what happens when one parent isn't using their parenting time? First, many of the commenters are asking, how do you know this if you haven't talked to your child in 9 days? You said you've had no contact. How do you know where they are? How do you know that dad is not spending any time with the child? I have no doubt that it would be incredibly difficult to go from being a stay-at-home mom, and again, I don't know how old this child is, to having dad be the primary custodial parent. Also, if dad's never been the primary custodial parent, he may be scrambling to get things in order. But let's say that we're able to prove that dad isn't spending time with the child. That is going to be a factor that we can argue would support his relocating with you. And on these relocation cases, I've had 2 different relocation cases in my career where I've lost the first time, but then we've won the second time. So this is not a one bite at the apple. Sometimes judges kind of want to give it a shot and see what happens. And I know that that can feel really awful, but sometimes you got to know until dad has the opportunity to be the custodial parent, you don't know how that's going to impact the child. And if the child has the ability to stay where they are and continue the school where they're at and continue the relationship they have with their extended family and their current friends and their activities and their cousins, that is going to have a lot of weight over moving in the military, where you're going to be moving every 3 or so years. The other thing that judges think about is this is a second marriage with children, and those have a higher likelihood of divorce than even initial marriages, which is another reason that judges are going to be hesitant to allow the new spouse's job to dictate a move, a relocation. Not impossible. As I told you, that case in Washington, the spouse had inherited the property. And in that particular case, because of that particular mom, the judge allowed the dad to relocate with the child. The other 2 relocation cases that I'm talking about where it took 2 options, two bites at the apple. One was a mom who had remarried and moved to Texas to be with her new husband. And she was the better parent, and the child wanted to go with mom, and we had a really strong case given all these factors that the child would be better off with mom, but we lost because it's difficult to win relocation cases. A year later, though, things were not great for the child here in Arizona with her father, and we had enough evidence to go back and ask for the modification, and then the daughter got to go to Texas with her mom.
Attorneys are incredibly expensive. So if enough of you watch this video, maybe I can get enough followers to start selling things on TikTok.
Attorneys are incredibly expensive, and these cases are really hard because it's almost impossible to settle them. There's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. Either the child's going to move or the child's not. So it's really difficult to settle those cases. Not impossible, but difficult. The levers that you can pull when you're talking settlement are who's paying for transportation costs, how much parenting time are you willing to give outside of the school year. So there are times when these settle, but it's difficult, right? Because the child is going to live primarily in one case. The other thing is if you do have to come back and do this twice, which does happen, then it is incredibly expensive. I'm Billie Tarascio. I was tagged in this video multiple times on TikTok, and we're going to do a divorce attorney reaction video. If this kind of thing is interesting to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. And feel free to tag me in the videos that you would like a deep dive analysis on.